time has finally come. We're getting ready to tackle this adventure. Now, if you haven't seen the previous episode, I'll link it up somewhere. This journey is gonna span across 4 days. It's 2,500 kilometers, and the first leg will take us from Bloemfontein to the Augrabies Falls National Park. Do a bit of a game drive there, experience the falls, the camping. The next morning we'll head over to the Namakwa National Park, enter through the northern entrance by Skilpad, and we'll make our way through the park, utilizing some of the 4x4 trails to get to our camping destination along the coast. Then we leave the next morning and we head over to a little bit of a secret spot that I have chosen to camp at. And after that we head back home to Bloem. This is going to be an outstanding adventure. I have never been to the northwest side of South Africa ever in my life. I've never been to the Namakwa, and that's the biome that it's in. There's a lot to be seen, and I'm sure we're going to cover it all. But first, we need to get packed. So I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but I have got the dust seal kit fitted, and everything is nice and sealed at the back, so hopefully we won't have a problem with dust anymore. And the new method I have for storing everything is I have these big black tubs, and I've mentioned it in the previous video, and we'll just basically pack everything in these tubs, and essentially we can just take the tubs, put them in the vehicle, and everything is organized. Now that has its own challenges because we can't really fit everything we wanted into these tubs, but it's still gonna help a lot. So I'm gonna get everything packed up, and I'll bring you guys back when we start our journey to the Augrabies Falls National Park. As you probably know, I'm still pretty new to all of this. I know I mention it a lot, but I've got to be honest, there was definitely some mistakes on this trip, and the biggest one was in the planning. I mentioned in the last video that it would be a challenge, but I didn't expect it to be this challenging. The main issue? Time. Time became a huge problem. Now, to be fair, this trip was more for my wife's birthday, but we thought it'd be awesome to bring you along for the ride. We just didn't have as much free time as we'd hoped, so things felt a bit rushed and I couldn't get as much footage as what I wanted. That said, it was still an incredible experience and we captured some epic footage. But next time, we'll definitely be adding more hours to each leg of the journey. The time management and planning were big lessons learned this time around, and of course, the cost of fuel, but more on that later. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we embark on this adventure to the northwest. And that's it, most of the packing is done. We're ready to hit the road to Augrabies. So the packing went way better than last time, and this was quite a smooth experience. We just loaded most of the tubs in the back, and we still have the old method of keeping our food cold with the cooler box. But we were way more efficient this time, and it's a bigger trip, so we packed more. And so we hit the road to Augrabies. This leg of the trip is about 550 kilometers, which should take us roughly 6 hours to complete. You might notice I'm using an OBD tool to monitor the vehicle systems as we drive. A quick note on that is I don't recommend plugging in a scanner unless you know what you're doing, and it's a high quality device. Anyway, the drive was peaceful as we waited for the sun to rise and reveal the landscape. Interestingly, we're taking the same route as our first leg to Mukala, but this time we're pushing beyond Kimberley. We make a quick stop in Kimberley for some supplies, aka coffee, and to feed my obsession with checking the engine oil. We've made it to Kimberley, so that's knocked off about what, 100 and something kilometers at least, maybe 200. And fuel consumption figures 10.2 kilometers per liter. We're at another roadblock, or roadworks, stop and go, whatever you want to call it. There's tons of these along this route between Kimberley and Upington. I think we're finally able to go now. So yeah, that's taking a lot of our time. It's no problem. I think we're finally starting to get a bit of change of scenery. As we get close to the Orange River, it's worth noting that this is the largest river in South Africa. Stretching over 2,400 kilometers, or around 1,500 miles, it begins in the Drakensberg Mountains of Lesotho and flows west all the way into the Atlantic Ocean. This river is crucial for the region, providing water for irrigation and even hydroelectric power. We just left Upington. We stopped at the engine garage to fill up. I wasn't that low on fuel, but I rather just want to keep the tanks topped up. We ended up doing about 9.7 kilometers per liter, so it's not great, but it's not bad either. Again, I guess that's what I can expect. I've been asking a lot of guys on the groups, and they're all saying, yeah, that's kind of what you can expect with the 4x4 and all the additional modifications. But other than that, we're on our way to Augrabies Falls now. Just another, I'd say about an hour, and then we finally reach our destination, and we are itching to get there. At first we weren't sure what we were seeing, but later we realized this is Key Solar 1, Africa's first solar tower power plant. With a capacity of 50 megawatts and located just outside of Upington, one of South Africa's hottest cities, it doesn't take much thought to why it was built here. After a long drive, we finally arrived at the Augrabies Falls National Park, where we were greeted by the famous quiver trees, one of the more spectacular species of aloe. Its name comes from the Sand People's practice of hollowing out its branches to make quivers for their arrows. The friendly staff helped us with some paperwork, and we made our way into the park towards reception. The landscape here was dramatically different, with large rocks and boulders dotting the horizon, building our excitement to find the falls, where the Orange River carves its way through, creating the iconic waterfall. The reception area was beautiful, filled with a variety of items. As always, I encourage you to pick up some souvenirs and the informative park guide to support the conservation efforts in South Africa. This was also the hub to reach the viewing platforms. Just finished at reception, got all our permits and everything we need for the campsite, and we got information for the game drive, and everything is in order. We're hanging out here with some Dussies. I don't know if you can see them up there, they just lost their minds. Also picked up the official Augrabies guide. Always pick up a guide. A lot of great information here, and we support the conservation efforts in these areas. And yeah, again, service here was amazing. Friendly staff, knowledgeable, excited. And yeah, we are excited now to get started. So I think we're first gonna do the waterfalls, and then we will go on a bit of a game drive. Now when I heard them speaking about this place, they said that beware for the muggies. I don't know what a muggie is in English. Little bugs that like hanging around by water and damp areas. I can really see tons of them, so I don't know how the camping experience is going to be with these guys around. But honestly, I don't care. I think it's outstanding. I'm on our way to the waterfall now, and I think we can hear it in the background. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, these little muggies are everywhere, and they get in your ears, in your mouth, in your eyeball. They just don't care. The scale of this is insane. Like, it's really hard to put this experience onto a camera, but just walking past it in motion, you kind of see the scale. I don't know how to explain it, but it's massive, like a canyon. It's really cool, and we can already hear the falls. It's a bit of a hike because it looks like there was flood damage, so the main viewing platform is closed. So we're just trying to find another viewing platform, but this is outstanding, and the muggies are freaking everywhere. Can you feel the spray?
Yeah.
I can feel the spray too.
There's muggies everywhere.
Okay, here's the platform. Yes. Oh my word. Alright, maybe that music was a bit intense, but trust me, the sheer power of the falls is overwhelming. You can almost feel the rumble in your chest. It was an incredible experience. And just note that the river wasn't anywhere near full flow. I've seen photos of these falls at their peak, and we'll definitely need to come back. The viewing platforms were also home to the vibrant Augrabies flat lizards darting around everywhere. But with time running out, we had to head back to the vehicle and start exploring more of the park. Well, that's the first ever, well, second now, water crossing that I've done. Obviously it's not anything major, really very shallow water, but nonetheless it's my first and second water crossings. Our next stop was Moon Rock, one of the park's standout attractions. According to the park guide, it's a massive granite exoflation dome, also called a whaleback. We set out for a walk, but once again my poor planning caught up with us and we didn't have enough time to reach the summit. It would have given us some incredible views of the park, but we'll have to save that for another time. Yeah, we're at Moon Rock now. I don't know why there's a picture of an animal here. That means only animals can walk here. I don't know. It's me and wife. Wife's got the GoPro this time. This is Moon Rock. And there's a Toyota flexing. Unfortunately, we are a bit pressed for time, but I did know that time is going to be one of the challenges for us, and we did arrive late anyway, so I would have loved to climb to the top of Moon Rock. This park is way bigger than Ukala, so this is a huge park. We had a look at the map and we really thought we were like halfway around the loop, and then we saw the Moon Rock board and realized we just started. And it's already, what, 3:30. We need to be at camp by 7:30, but we also need to have time to set up camp. So we might skip a lot, but that's just all more reason for us to come back here. I just realized I didn't air down my tires. This drive is a bit long, so I would rather, I'd feel better just airing down my tires. And this time I'm going to take them a bit lower. I'm going to take them to around 1.9, which isn't that low. A lot of the guys are recommending much less, but I'm pretty happy around 2 bar. We ended up having a late lunch at this spot before heading back to camp. We didn't see much wildlife, but let me explain something real quick. I don't even think we explored 2% of this park. It's so much bigger than what we anticipated. We barely made it to point 6 on this map before having to turn around and head back. With so much left to discover, we'll definitely be back. But for now, it's time to head back to camp and set up for the night. We arrived at camp and immediately started setting up. We were lucky enough to find a great spot, secluded with the bathrooms just across the road. The park does get more traffic than some others, but with so much to see, it didn't bother us at all. The bathrooms were well maintained and overall we were really happy with the experience. Besides the campsite, there are cottages overlooking the gorge and some chalets for those who prefer a bit more comfort. I had planned to review the gear changes I made, but time was tight. I'll be making a separate video on that because once you start building experience in camping and traveling, you realize that your needs can quickly change. Our tent was a game changer. It took just under 2 minutes to set up the core and about 10 minutes to secure everything with the fly and pegs. It was big enough to stand in and has a pretty handy spot for running power inside if you need it. The UPS actually worked really well and charged not just my laptop but my camera, cell phones and even the power banks. We didn't end up using the Boondoe canopy this time, but everything else worked out great. After settling in and cooking some food, we turned in early, prepping for a 4:30 AM start the next morning. The next day would be intense with a 300-kilometer drive to Namakwa followed by a 150-kilometer off-road track to reach our next campsite. In the next episode, we make our way to Namakwa National Park and get a taste of Namibia along the way. We tackle some serious 4x4 tracks with sand driving that really put both me and the vehicle to the test. I ended up being the target for some angry bugs. We camped in some breathtaking locations, including a secret spot, and even saved a tortoise along the way. Of course, not everything went according to plan, but that's all part of the adventure. Stay tuned for more in the next video.